Help support Friendo Club by going to patreon.com/Steven Larson or clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Access to bonus episodes, question threads for the Going In Raw podcast, and entry to our monthly wrestling predictions challenges. Join the Friendo Club today. All right, Larson, I know last week I gave you what many consider to be a pretty tepid take, that Little Debbie cakes are better than Hostess cakes. Well, this week, I got a hot, searing hot take
What
for
is
you,
it?
man.
Give it to me.
Oh, it's this. It's simple. The Whopper's better than the Big Mac. Oh, my God.
I don't really think
I'm on fire.
That's not that hot.
Oh, do you feel that?
No, that's tepid too, man.
Time for wrestling hot takes, Larson.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.
Ivan Rodriguez says my hot take is RVD.
My hot take is you're going to need some bifocals.
No, I read the name. I was trying to pronounce it correctly.
I know, but the way you... Look, I'm there, too. Sitting there like this. Oh. All right, sorry, go ahead.
My hot take is... This is Ivan's, not mine. My hot take is RVD doesn't get enough credit for how much he changed pro wrestling in general.
I agree with this. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I remember when we were living in L.A., and we first saw ECW and we saw RVD team with Sabu.
I didn't know wrestling could be this way.
I didn't know wrestling could be like that. Oh, my God. And then you see, like, what the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, you know, the dudes who started AEW, you see what they do, and it's like, yeah, okay, I see that.
Yeah.
Shane O'Mac basically stole, like, his biggest move from RVD, too.
I know, doing coast to coast.
The Van Terminator.
You got that right. Lobby Bashley says Chris Jericho has never actually reinvented himself that much. His promos and in-ring have largely remained the same. He buys a new jacket, makes up a new catchphrase, and calls it a reinvention.
Is 2024 the year that everybody turns on Chris Jericho, Larson?
It certainly seems that way.
It certainly seems that way, doesn't it? This is actually, okay, I will say this, because I saw this one, and here's my thoughts, and I'm curious what you have to say. I feel like this is true for his AEW run especially.
Yeah, mainly, yeah.
I do feel like during his run in WWE, like the first, 20 years, 15 years of his time from WCW on to WWE, I do think that he was good at reinventing himself. I mean, he did the Anton Chigurh bit before that. I think he was effective as both good guy and bad guy in very different ways and was able to pivot while being pretty different. His run in AEW is exactly this, though. I
will say that apart from his Anton Chigurh-inspired time in WWE when he decided to talk slow, that was really the only, I would call, major reinvention. By and large, it's been tweaks.
Yeah.
Whereas he'll adopt a new kind of gimmicky thing, list of Jericho, for example.
Yeah.
And that'll be the reinvention. It's not like a wholesale thing where you're like, wow, I can't believe that was this is Chris Jericho. Closest he's got to that was, again, the slow talking phase, the Anton Chigurh stuff. Beyond that, it's like little things.
Yeah.
That seem to inspire a character shift as opposed to a complete reinvention.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think reinvention has to be like, you're a completely different person. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like Seth Rollins' like gimmick changes have been a bit more, I don't know, sort of, I guess maybe in the same vein. Like this latest one where he's just completely, the outfits and everything is a pretty decent departure from the Revolutionary or the Monday Night Messiah.
Yeah. And which is a huge departure, which was a huge departure from boring face Seth Rollins.
From just this dude who toes the company line.
Yeah.
Best employee was his gimmick.
Employee, would-be employee of the year, yes.
HR darling.
Yeah.
Christian 01 says WWE should quit announcing people for the Rumble and should only let a few superstars announce that they're going to be in it. Instead of everyone announcing it, then the surprise isn't there.
Who was that said that?
It was Dave Alvarez. Brian Alvarez was saying that yesterday on.
Well, yeah, but that's what's happening this year. There's only like 6 people announced, maybe 8 now, because Priest and Kofi, I think, were officially announced. I think it was Kofi.
Yeah, Alvarez was complaining about it on Wrestling Observer. I just happened to turn it on, and he was complaining about it. Yeah.
Do you say it sucks?
It sucks.
So whoever had that hot take,
Christian 01.
Christian, you should be happy this year because
that's what they're doing.
There hasn't been a whole lot of formal announcements.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. Everything's a surprise.
Michael Will here says Buddy Matthews is incredibly underrated, brilliant selling, brilliant in the ring, and a decent promo. He could be a top guy in AEW or WB for that matter. The one thing that Buddy has always kind of lacked is a character.
Yeah.
And he's a phenomenal wrestler.
I am going to counter that with this one much further down the line because it literally references Buddy Matthews, and it's less than lucid. It says, in-ring quality isn't as special in the current wrestling landscape as characters are. I feel like great matches happen way more frequently than we see great or unique character work, making wrestlers like Danhausen, all character, more special than wrestlers like Buddy Matthews, all in-ring quality. And I agree with that. I think that Buddy's got a great look and he's an amazing wrestler, but I kind of feel like the most important thing is the character.
Character is what separates you from your contemporaries. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of phenomenal wrestlers in the world of pro wrestling these days, and how you really separate yourself. It's not even like promos. Like, there's a lot of people who could drop good promos. Do you have an intriguing, interesting, captivating character?
Yeah,
that's what really kind of separates people these days.
And sometimes it takes sometimes it takes just a lot of sometimes people can just be around for a really long time and let people appreciate what they bring to the table. But you still need a character. Like, you know, one guy that sort of reminds me in the same kind of respect as a Buddy Matthews to a degree, kind of. And I kind of feel like it's a reason why he didn't get over more in the WWE when he did in like the other place. Ken Shamrock. Didn't have much of a character in WWE, even though he had like a wealth of history.
He's the world's most dangerous man.
He was the world's most dangerous man. That should have been his character, but he never really showed it because he ate a lot of losses.
I know. He should have been like biting people, you know, like doing like unhinged, dangerous stuff.
He would show up with a gun. And it's like, oh my God. He's like, look, I'm the world's most dangerous man.
They do ring introductions. He pulled down his trunks and poop in the ring.
Is that like dangerous though?
I mean, if someone did it to me, if someone did that and I was opposite them, I wouldn't want to fight him.
I wouldn't want to fight him either, but reasons that are more hygienically related than like, I'm in danger right now.
It'd be dangerous having a match in a ring full of poop. You're risking pink eye.
How much poop is he pooping in the ring? A ring full of poop?
Yeah, he's been eating a lot of high fiber foods.
Like that picture I sent you, that nurse walking down the hall with like a log-sized shit.
Yeah, it was that was like my forearm.
Yeah, really, literally.
Maybe Ken Shamrock at the time was eating a lot of lentils, a lot of beans.
Oh wow,
a lot of high fiber foods.
Oh, you're just unclogging these days. That's why you're bringing that up.
I mean, it's on my mind. Sorry, it wasn't a conscious unclogging. It just kind of happened, Steve.
It was an unconscious unclogging.
Yeah, it was an unconscious unclogging. It was a fortuitous one.
All right, let's move on from scat talk. How about we? Joel asks, I think Ludwig Kaiser should be the one to defeat Ring General Gunther. He wants Kaiser to beat Gunther. He says, I think the story's there, plus it could be at Bash at Berlin, knowing that Ludwig is German.
I mean, for the Intercontinental title, maybe, yeah. If they spend some time building up Kaiser a bit more and getting him more wins for the World Heavyweight Championship, if Gunther wins that at WrestleMania, absolutely not.
I kind of feel like Ludwig needs a lot more time. That story has to boil over a lot.
It does,
longer.
But it needs slightly less time for the Intercontinental title as opposed to World Heavyweight.
It needs more. Oh, yeah. For the I thought this. Yeah, I kind of feel like he's referring to the Intercontinental. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, I do think it's even for the Intercontinental Championship.
It needs more time, yeah.
Like that thing is special. And one thing that I've noticed on here, there's a couple people talking about the length of time stories are being told. We'll get to that in a second. First up, Gouge Consortium says, John, I don't know why I find this funny. John Cena should tap out in his last match before he retires.
I don't know if he's ever tapped out.
Is that true?
I don't know. I can't think of a time he's tapped out. That kind of goes against the ideals of John Cena, the character. Never give up, and then, yeah, sure, I'm going to give up, you know?
And that's his lasting image. I still think that the Firefly Funhouse match should have been the last one where he was retconned out of history. And then WWE should never refer to John Cena again. Erase him from the network. Sing every, WrestleMania, whatever, once in a lifetime, The Rock versus singles action.
Yeah, The Rock and singles action, yeah. I like this one here.
Money in the Bank 2011, CM Punk in singles action.
CM Punk wins the WWE title in singles action. Speaking of that match, Mick James, is that Mick or Nick? Anyways, I can't see. Nick James says John Cena versus CM Punk at Money in the Bank is nowhere near a 5-star match.
Are we on the verge of doing the zoom in, like the large font on our phones, dude. Dude, we had somebody. Hold on, I'm saying this is a good one. But we had somebody today in our Friendo, I think it was Friendo Club comments of some sort. I forget if it was hot takes or whatever, but they were like, "Oh my God, it just hit me like an elephant in the room that I watched you guys in your top 10 list when I was a kid. Now I'm a grown man, and it's so good to be hanging out with you again."
And then it means that we're old.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, what was this one?
John Cena versus CM Punk at Money in the Bank is nowhere near a 5-star match. Remember we watched that for something, and I'm like, this match is kind of sloppy.
Oh, really?
I don't necessarily disagree with it. Personally, I wouldn't have given it 5 stars. The atmosphere for that match is everything.
It's pretty electric, yeah.
It's all about the atmosphere.
I do definitely think that there's something to be said about, one thing about, I think, our star ratings that we've always sort of talked about, or we've talked about what makes a match, what makes a great match, is two things that are kind of underrated, I think, sometimes, and that's atmosphere and stakes. And those are like jacked up all the way in that match. So like in a vacuum, if you put that just like in an empty arena, would it be like Gunther Ilya? Probably not, because that was in an empty arena. Oh my God.
And it was still phenomenal.
That match is amazing.
Yeah.
But this, like, yeah, maybe if it was an empty arena, it wouldn't be that. But I feel like maybe the stakes in the atmosphere. I haven't seen the match in probably since you have, but I don't know. I think I remember really liking it back then too.
4.5, 4 3/4 at best.
Oh wow, okay, there you go.
It's still a really good match, but
yeah. Let's see here.
The fact that got 5 stars in a lot of matches that I think are easily.
Oh, like Angle versus Shawn Michaels.
Like End of an Era. I didn't get 5 stars.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That the pedigree super kick combo that he kicked out of, that alone should have gotten that.
There's very few matches in the history of pro wrestling that have the wealth of story and drama that match has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Anthony R says, I think the New Blood could have been a really good faction if booked right back in WCW.
That's a massive if.
That's the big if.
That's a massive if.
That is a huge if. And I think the talent was totally there.
Oh, yeah.
Because I agree with this. But the problem is, it's like one of those things where the what if is so big, it can't even be fathomable.
Fathomed.
DL Luke D, DJ Luke D, sorry, says mention.
Get on me about it.
I know, man. I'm right there with you. I'm saying that. Says mentioning Dusty in every promo with Cody takes the heat out of the promo. I think Dusty's just baked into the Cody thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's Cody's entire motivation in WWE is doing the thing that his dad never did.
Look, my thing is this. I'm cool with it as long as they make it mean something. For example, when Shinsuke Nakamura refers to him as vomit and inbred. I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
As long as and I like because everybody that Cody faces these days seems to be older than him and was like a protege of Dusty.
Exactly.
So like, I don't know, the CM Punk thing I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that didn't bother me. Jack White Ford, I think that's what it says.
Yeah.
The Undertaker is painfully overrated. I think The Undertaker's had a good amount of good matches in his career. He's had a lot of really terrible ones too. I think he did his best work in ring towards, I don't know, I want to say towards the tail end because I guess depends what you consider as the tail end of his career.
The last 10 years it was good.
You know, if you center his best work around the 2 matches with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania and then the following 2 matches against Triple H at the next 2 WrestleManias, I consider that like in ring by far his career best work.
It's one of the best long-term, I don't know if you'd even call that like a story necessarily, but it's the best long-term series of matches. Yeah. Like 4 matches over that period of time.
Well, I mean, there's a long-term story there.
Yeah.
Apart from that, Undertaker in ring, I think, is kind of middle of the road. Mm-hmm. And he gets a lot of credit for keeping the gimmick alive for as long as what he did.
Yeah.
Longevity is kind of like his calling card in terms of his wrestling career, and I think that's why people hold him in such high esteem.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think his character by and large was so iconic. And talk about it. What's interesting is that it's rare that you've seen a single character. I'm sorry, I'll put it this way: a single gimmick be reinvented successfully so often with the Undertaker over such a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, granted, I know he spent like 8 years or whatever it was, a big chunk of his time being either, biker guy / big evil, whatever that was, before he brought the dead man back.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was actually able to reinvent that character, and it was more of an evolution of that character as opposed to like distinct reinventions.
Yeah.
But like, cause the guy who Tombstone Hogan isn't the same guy as like the Ministry.
No.
It's like the same character, same gimmick, but it's so different.
It is.
He was able to evolve with the times, which is really impressive.
Undertaker was never a good promo either.
No, he was always a dog shit promo. Remember, like the thing that I say, like, oh, when people get old, they get better on the mic. He never did.
No, he's never a good promo.
Well, until he gave his Hall of Fame speech. The TED Talk.
That was really long.
It was really long, but it was really engaging. He's a good. That's what's crazy about it. Naturally, Mark Calloway is a really good storyteller.
Have you watched any of his dead one man shows, Steve?
No, I'm sure it's amazing though.
They should call it Dead Man Talking.
Senor Alien. Oh no, or Senior Alien. There's no little sign thing, so I think it's just Senior Alien. Says the giant floating animations during entrances are an abomination. Roman Reigns, for example, great entrance, but seeing a giant cartoon Roman Reigns at the start nearly takes me out of the moment.
So they've updated some of them. Some of them now don't look bad. The Roman one still doesn't look that great.
Yeah,
and he's got that God mode shirt on.
He still has an old merch shirt.
That shirt is terrible.
I always thought they should have added Sami Zayn to that particular ARG. I think that's what they call him. My favorite one is the Demon's Time Portal.
The Nebula, yeah.
The Nebula that like floats above the ring.
Yeah,
that's
that was
badass.
Great. That was great.
And I think Xia Li has some cool shit too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they can cover. Asuka's line of masks is pretty. I think some are pretty cool.
Some aren't that bad. But.
Abomination, I would say nay. We're gonna save this Canis one for last.
All right.
Because Canis is our new closer.
Okay.
He closed out our
That's some serious hot take expert there. Joey Sands Work says Scott Steiner never got a fair shake in WWE. No, I think he wasn't healthy. He wasn't 100% healthy at that point.
Yeah, and I wonder if the idea here is they should have either waited till he was healthy or tried again when he was healthy. Because like his TNA runs was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He did some fun stuff there.
But if you can't go in the ring at the level he used to or the level that was required to be a main event guy and to be at the time, then...
Yeah. What do you think of this one? This one, I feel like this one is simply trying to be counter. It's Sleeping Book. Says Cody Rhodes is no bigger a star than when he was in his original run with WWE. His packaging is the only thing that gives the illusion that he is more.
I mean, I'm not a huge Cody fan, but I don't even agree with that. No, I mean it's not just packaging. Packaging is a product of presence, and his presence is far greater and more impactful now. Look, I like dashing Cody Rhodes. I like when he came out with the mask after he broke his face. That was some clever stuff. But he felt his presence was mid-card at the time.
Yeah.
He has main event presence now. You can chalk it all up to presentation, but that's not it. That's not everything. Presentation can elevate presence to a degree, but if you got no presence, you can't give someone main event presence, make him a main eventer.
Yeah. Cody Rhodes, had he stayed in WWE, would not be close to the Cody Rhodes that he is today.
No.
I agree thoroughly. I like this one. Tariq says Roman Reigns' theme is create a wrestler bad. I'll be honest, I love his theme. I think the fact that like a UFC fighter came out to it, and it gives me Succession vibes, which it should.
It's not my favorite, but it works for that character, and that's the most important thing. Is the theme sounds larger than wrestling, if that makes sense. Because you mentioned it sounds like something from Succession. It sounds cinematic.
Mm-hmm. It does, yeah.
And it's a piece of music that feels like it could transcend wrestling. You could pop up in movie trailers in a few years, like that piece from Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah,
you know?
right. Yeah.
That's the vibe I get from it.
I agree. Here's this one here. Review King says the reason why AEW doesn't feature guys like Malachi Black and Miro in top positions is because they've openly complained and are being punished.
Okay. If there's any truth to the first part, I wouldn't say they aren't being featured because they're being punished. They probably aren't being. Again, if we accept the first part of that is true, they aren't being featured because Tony Khan feels like he can't go all in with them because they're not all in on AEW.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it.
And I don't necessarily is like being punished because if they, again, this is if we accept the first part is true, which I don't necessarily. If they were a situation where they're like, yay, AEW, I guess you can interpret that as punishment, but I don't necessarily feel like it's necessarily a tit for tat thing because they maybe complained. You know what I mean? It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
If there's any truth to any of that, which again is debatable.
I kind of feel like that you could be totally right, and this could be totally right. I don't know. I kind of wonder if Tony Khan just simply sees Malachi, Andrade, and Miro as having a certain ceiling that isn't as great as they or even we think it should be. And their response, their complaints are complaining about that as opposed to the inverse. We're not getting pushed enough. It's they see us. The same with Vince. You know, wrestlers would complain. He only saw us in a certain way, and we couldn't advance any further. Maybe Tony just sees them as having a certain ceiling.
Yeah, I don't get that at all.
I don't get that either.
I understand what the point you're making. I wouldn't get how you see someone like Malachi or Miro or Andrade and think you're a mid-carder at best.
I know. I agree. I do kind of wonder, and this is probably a much bigger conversation. I wonder if any of it, and like there's one sort of counter to this, but I wonder if some of it is he saw their work in WWE and he can't get over the booking in WWE. So he's like, well, I didn't see it. Like you couldn't get Aleister Black couldn't get to the top in WWE.
Well, then why sign him?
Because he think he'd be a great trios guy.
I guess so.
You think he'd be a great trios guy? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm just trying to put rhyme or reason to it. Here's one. Brennan says AEW now is worse than WCW was in 2000.
No.
Hard to disagree.
No.
Hard to disagree. WCW in 2000. Y'all who weren't there, and maybe Brennan was, I don't know, don't realize just how bad. It was awful. It was directionless. It was week to week trying to pop whatever they could pop.
Yeah.
The titles meant less than nothing. And I don't feel that way now. I feel like the AEW title means something. I feel like the international title means something. The women's title means something. I think that, maybe they have too many titles. Like the Ring of Honor tag titles. I don't really think they mean much of anything. But that's because they're never in Ring of Honor. They're always on AEW television.
Yeah.
But no, WCW made the big gold title in 2000 feel like absolutely nothing.
You got that right.
Like absolutely nothing. All right, let's go to Canis here.
All right.
Canis says, where is it?
I believe the McGriddle has negative Riz.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Now, if Canis here was referring to...
Canis, what are you doing, Canis?
Frito Burrito.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I'd say
good point.
Yes, after experiencing Frito Burrito several times, including two in one sitting.
Yeah.
I could describe that particular item as having negative Riz.
Riz.
The McGriddle, on the other hand.
Oh, my God.
It tastes like something that descended from the heavens.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Where else can you get essentially two pancakes with a succulent sausage patty put in between? If you want, you can get eggs, you can get cheese, you can get other. I think you can get chicken. It's got bacon.
Syrup infused in the pancake patties.
If anything, it embodies Riz in food form.
It is Riz. It's the most sexual breakfast food there is. It's like orgiastic, man, and orgasmic at the same time. Anyways, drop your hot takes in the comments below or just wait for the community tab thread.
Yeah.
We'll get to them next time. We'll see you around.
Goodbye.